Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's weekend offering, our broiler chicken show. So, feeling a little bit delicate here this morning. Um, we had a really nice, very interesting evening. Let's say that. Casey, I know Casey's going to be here, but Casey and his wife took me out to a show last night. That was very enlightening. I'll say that. And I got to hang out with Shane as well. Anytime I get to hang out with Shane is a good thing. Um, so I slept in a little bit this morning, but I saw that actually Grim had a pretty tough night last night. So we decided to give the level oneers the week off, so you get another week to prepare for the final exam. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is sort of your prep week for the final exam. So if you had any questions that you were going to ask through that, but they were totally pressing, and you were like, I really want an answer, well, you can always ask here, and hopefully I can try and help you out. So, Graham, if you're watching this later, we're all best wishes for you and your family. Take it easy, Slick. And level oneers, I see there's a couple of you in here. I guess a few in the hangout here. So, like I said, if you have questions, feel free to bark at me. A big part of this weekend show is just simply a walkthrough of what we did on Twitter over the past week or so, just to give you an idea of what it is I'm looking at the market. And by all means, this is just Brian's opinion half the time. So, of course, what I think about people's opinions. If there's any information that you can use while I go through these rants to help you build better setups, help you take better trade location, help you understand concept of divergence, help you understand the concept of market structure, then that's really the whole point of this exercise. And of course, bottom line here is nobody's going to say this stuff is easy. I mean, you can throw a whole bunch of money at an idea and roll them bones. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, that's the way it goes. There's really nothing wrong with that, and I know lots of people in the stock market would do the same thing. We had TRI. We like to try and build sort of sustainability kind of models. And actually, I did a really interesting interview. Somebody had sent me. We were planning on doing an interview with a site. I won't mention them now. We'll sort of save that. But they had a couple really interesting questions, and I took some time and answered them. So I thought maybe I might go through some of those questions also. As sort of a public service for YouTube. They asked some very basic, some very simple questions, and I think the answers that I gave, I think, are pretty powerful stuff. And just trying to set yourself up for success. So I could always look at that. Now, when was the last time we did one of these shows? It is already the 7th of April. Jesus, time's flying by here. So for whatever it's worth, people, site people, of course, know this, but every time we have a new quarter, you have the pension fund managers, the index fund managers, a lot of sort of institutional money comes into the market on the first 2 weeks of every quarter, because they sort of get released tranches of money as the year goes through, and this money has to be invested. So we watch very closely the first 2 weeks of any quarter. April, is the start of Q2 for 2019. So at TRI right now, we're just sort of watching and just letting the quarter sort of play itself out to try and get an idea of where the fund managers think we are in the economic cycle. That's that whole sort of sector rotation model. I don't know whether I've talked to you guys on YouTube about sector rotation before, but that's sort of where we stand right now. And it's actually interesting because Bitcoin, crypto, and all that, they're at an interesting pivot points here too. So, we've seen Bitcoin and crypto pop up here. I wonder if a bunch of money from the institutional players is coming into this space right now. That really wouldn't surprise me. But it's something that probably this community probably has never seen before. And we had like massive, melt ups in the market, for things like Bitcoin. And people are like, why on earth did that happen? So, first 2 weeks commentary might have actually been a very powerful contributing factor that people probably haven't considered here. But anyway, point that I'm trying to mention here is we are 1 week into the first quarter, or first 2 weeks of the quarter. We're going to have to wait till the end of next week. So next Sunday's public offering, I'll probably have that sector rotation image for you guys so we can get sort of an idea where the fund managers think we are economic cycle wise. So I guess the last show we did was maybe the 31st. Let's see if that's on here. 28th, 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 29th, and there's a dog barking. Woof, woof. All right, so there we are there. So, like I said, if you have questions, feel free to post. I think I saw, Jesus. Like a dog's like literally standing right outside my apartment barking. Anyway. So where are we going to start? Man, maybe I'll go ask these people if they could maybe put the doggy away. Oh. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. Okay, so here is our last offering. Gotta say, I was quite pleased to see through the week, and I had sort of posted these kind of comments out. I actually think, especially you people on YouTube, most of the TRIers, we've sort of broken them in. What does a professional trader look like? Build trading plans, run your small business of trading, yada, yada, yada. But I know a lot of people on YouTube probably have not even familiar with this, but this was absolutely, it's almost like famous interview that a gentleman that I used to work with. I'm not quite sure what's happened with our friendship. I hope we're still friends, but who knows? Alex Sturck, he did an interview with this gentleman. It turns out that he's actually been charged and convicted of, all the various different crypto crimes that are going out today. But really, really good lesson for all you new people on YouTube to just, it's about 40 minutes. Take the time and just watch this. And as this story evolves, you're just going to be like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? I mean, it's remarkable. The conversation starts out relatively amicably, but it ends in an absolute disaster. But it's such a great commentary about what this crypto and altcoin space is all about. You have to understand this guy here, he wants your money. He will do anything he can to get your money out of your account and into his account so he can go and, talk about driving his Lambos and all that kind of crap. So I really think this is in fact, you know what? I might even, for our level 1 education program, make this like required watching. If you are a crypto enthusiast, you have to understand this is who you're playing against. And it's a brutal reality of this space. Interestingly enough, I'm actually like Mr. PMA, and I try to put a positive spin on all of this, and I try to make the TRI community like super positive and supportive and stuff like that. And maybe it's a fault of me being a Canadian, I don't know, but I assume that we want to be nice people to each other, but in reality, a good portion of this market is these people. And it's sad commentary, but it's so true. So do yourself a favor. If you are interested in this crypto space, you got to know who this guy is and the Cabbage Tech story. It's brutal. So that's basically why I posted that. And like I said, Alex is becoming famous. Like even I think it was Bloomberg or something like that picked up this news article, and they were just running with it. So I sure hope Alex does well in this world. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. As we were sort of moving our way into the new week, we had all these markets coiling up very tightly. Here was, Litecoin coiling up really tightly up against 60 some odd dollars. And my simple message to our community was, just watch this trend line really closely. We flirted with breaking it a few times. The rule is, and I think if anything, this should be really helpful. Please write this down if you don't know this. But you have to let these trend lines break, and then the first market structure signal on the other side of the trend line is actually your trade signal. If you just trade these breaks of the trend line like this, I found just over time, the odds of success of taking those trades are actually really low. And here's a great example where the trend line was broken. So the rule is first market structure, or M, if you want to keep it really simple, on the other side of the trend line paints the sell signal. And you notice that it went down, then it went back up, and then it went down. And this actually created a W. And then it rallied up, and it came back down, and another W. So really, really good lesson of the power of trend lines and how you really need to wait for the trend line to be broken and then structure on the other side of the trend line to actually get your sell signal. So that sort of hopefully helps explain that tweet a little bit. We're just riding this trend line hard. I often make funny references to Amanda and Amanda's penthouse. And actually, it was interesting when this sort of came out. We're all like, all right, move over, Amanda. Dash has got a new spokesperson. But it was so funny because shortly after we did all this, Amanda popped up on the screen. Hey, I'm back. So you'll probably see that later on. But if anything, this is also another fantastic tell about a market bottom, right? Is when the the supermodels and the sexy spokesmen start coming back out and start showing their products. Notice they went dead quiet through this entire consolidation developer cycle, whatever you want to call it. But listening to Amanda now, Dash is going to change the world, right, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm noticing that the marketing machine is starting to get back up and running again. So that's kind of a good sign. And the cool part about it, guys, I mean, this is the coolest part about what we do is should it be a coincidence that this kind of stuff is starting to happen and we look down at our charts and we go, oh, gee whiz, there seems to be a letter of the alphabet here. I don't know. Can you guys see? You guys over on YouTube, somebody who's not a TRIer, can you see any types of letters of the alphabet coming in here? I mean, the irony of it all is this stuff isn't rocket science. And what we often do as traders is just simply the same thing over and over and over and over. So, hopefully, especially the sort of regulars. We had one gentleman on the YouTube page who and you're supposed to hit that like button, smash that bell button, right? All these kind of things. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say? You got to hit this like button and you got to smash this bell button, whatever the hell that thing does. And share it. There's good 50, 60 people over there watching this video. So I hope you're enjoying the offering. Anyway, the bottom line here is that you really shouldn't see anything new coming out of Brian. You shouldn't. Nothing should be like, there you go. Kevin says, "Smash up ye old likes." Thanks, Kevin. And actually, it's cool. Maybe we'll get to it later on. But Kevin and I were chatting about the gold market, and I came up with some really cool charts based on our conversation. That's one thing I really like about this site, and really what I wanted to have happen was I end up training a whole bunch of people that really had no idea what to look for and how to behave in the marketplace, get them all trained up. And now our community is every single day I pop in and I got great conversations with guys who know what the hell to look for and who actually know how to manage risk and know how to trade. And I get treated, basically on a daily basis. I've got new messages coming in all the time, and they're like, "Hey, Brian, did you see this? Hey, did you see that? Look at what I'm doing over here and stuff." And it's great. I mean, 1+1 equals 437 million. I absolutely love it. So anyway, the point of the matter here is you should all see these. And that's interesting. I don't see anybody on YouTube even answering that question. It's a little disappointing. I mean, hopefully you can all see the W's coming in here. And it really shouldn't surprise. If anything, one of those questions that actually I asked you, I told you that this interview that I'm going to be doing, they even asked. And actually, this is kind of a cool question. Because and the way I answered, they said, "How isn't TA like astrology?" And so my answer was, well, it actually might be very much like astrology. And in fact, some of the most famous traders in history actually used astrology to help them time their transactions. But comparing one versus the other is missing the whole point of why one would use TA. One should come up with reasons for acting in the marketplace, then try to replicate that behavior repeatedly using the same reasons over and over again. Some use fundamental analysis, some use technical analysis, and yes, some even use astrology. It's kind of funny in our level 1 program, the very beginning of the course, I talk about trading setups, and I say, hell, I don't care if if you throw your dog's food in his bowl, and if it lands on the left side of the bowl, that's a buy signal. And if it lands on the right side of the bowl, well, that's a sell signal. If it works more than 66% of the time, I'm going to be calling you up and asking you which side of the damn bowl the dog food fell into. I don't care. All I want to do is use stuff that works and has, a better than, good 60+% accuracy. Mr. John Bollinger, continuing the answer to my question here, I said, Mr. John Bollinger coined the term rational analysis decades ago as the intersection of fundamental and technical analysis, where we as rational investors only act when both fundamental and technical reasons agree. We use these quote-unquote reasons to better the odds of seeing our desired outcome, i.e. profitable trades, but that's all they are. Nothing more, nothing less. And if you want to use astrology for your signals, I don't care. What I really care is, are we going to see our desired outcome? I mean, making money from trading. Could we incorporate our astrological reasons to act in our setups? Absolutely. The only thing that matters is when we trade with these reasons, they are consistent and they produce the desired results more often than not, and ideally better than a good 60% of the time. I think, with rational analysis, we can get up into that 60-70% of the time, and my sort of magic number is 66%. But, I used to trade with guys on the CME floor. They were happy with like 55-60% accuracy. Just as long as, and everybody should know the answer to this, when you're right, what has to happen? Let's see if anybody knows the answer on YouTube. The trick to making this game, and God, I do this every single video I do this, but let's see if you guys can get the answer to this. Everybody in the lounge, of course, is answering correctly, so way to go, guys. But you YouTubers, what's the trick to making money at this game, this thing called trading? What has to happen when you are right? Anybody? Boom! There you go. Somebody just dropped the gavel. Who was that? That was Quentin. Quentin, if you could maybe just throw yourself on mute, I'd appreciate it. Get paid! Very good, Rob. But Rob, you're a TRIer. Well, at least boo-hoo 007 says 2-1. Julian says 2-1. I mean, that's at least, keep in mind, like Nanny Nibbles, sometimes when you're selling half on a double and then selling another half on another double and then selling another half on another double, sometimes it can turn into like 8-1, 10-1. Yeah, I know, Rob, silly bug. Now you have to bark and Rolf now, though, Rob. Right? That's good. So anyway, the point is that you got to get paid, right? That's the whole key to making money at this game. Try not to set yourself up to be right 100% of the time with like expecting yourself to be right 100% because you're not. It just ain't going to happen. But when you are right, you better make damn sure you get paid. So anyway, finishing that original thought, this is a really cool sort of juxtaposition of technical reasons. Hey, there you are. Now Rob's joined the hangout here. Quentin, don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to throw you on mute here. So, well, at least I'm going to try to. Somebody else can help me throw Quentin on mute, or Quentin, if you could, please mute yourself. And unfortunately, if I keep hearing from you and you haven't muted, I'm probably going to have to boot you out of here. I'm sorry, dude, or dudette, depending on who you are. Anyway, the point here is that, long and short of it here is you've got your technical reasons. And this I would actually consider to be a quantitative reason. So, yeah, that's right. I don't think we need to. I would actually consider to be a quantitative reason. There you go. Wow, now we're getting an echo. That's right. Don't mean. Jeez, holy moly, this is turning into a train wreck. What's going on here? Alicia, if we could maybe throw you on mute. Thank you. All right. Anyway, these crazy YouTube hangouts. I'll just try my best. So anyway, the point of the matter here is that this is what they would call quantitative or sentiment. Yeah, probably. Anyway, and you can't mute those government guys. Anyway, this would be like a sentiment driver. And then the interesting thing, of course, is that they are promoting fundamental developments in the story. And you could argue that those fundamental drivers are contributing to the story. So really good example of sort of, in this case, sentiment and technical analysis. When they agree, the odds of success go up, and sure enough, the W's come in, and away we go. And actually really interesting commentary, too, on value. What should happen here is hopefully everybody sees there's a big hole in the profile right here. My hunch is, and considering this is probably where a lot of people took long shots from back last year. So if we can get back up and kiss the underside of value, all those people that bought here but were like, oh, Jesus, thing crapped, they're going to just get back to sort of scratch. And you probably see the market sort of run into a brick wall right at value here. And probably, too, if we put a fib off of these lows back up to these highs, what do you think the odds are that that's probably right around 38.2 right in there, which we affectionately like to call the Ray barbecue level, a guy I used to work with out of New York. Okay, so, April 1st, interesting how it was April 1st. We've been sort of talking a bit about this for a while. I got to give kudos to Da Vinci. He was one of the only guys I saw in the public who was barking about like 4,500 plus on Bitcoin. I didn't think it was going to get that high, but here we are like at 5,000 now. So, but really good testament of this was a high-low trend line, which is a little bit more complicated trend lines. We teach in our intermediate program, a little bit harder for the public to see high-low trend lines. This was just a classic market structure trend line. And then, of course, this was horizontal support and resistance. So it created one hell of an apex of sort of energy. And it's interesting, too. Oh, there's more people who are having trouble with muting themselves. So where's this coming from now? Deanna, can you please put yourself on mute? Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I swear, Alex B has got my back. This guy is the fucking shit, man. I'll just put his picture on the camera. Everybody can see. This guy is so fucking awesome. He's just the best. I love that. Alex was my host when I was in Berlin. I got to crash in his guest room. So, Alex, big hugs and kisses, and thank you. It is weird. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it might be a function of what Google's doing to us today. Who knows? Anyway. So a really good example of sort of releasing the beast, releasing the energy, really good example of horizontal support and resistance. And when that's resolved, poof, right? the whole market just popped, and it was like there was and actually in our point and figure charting module in our level 2 program, do we have any level 2ers in here that just are going through that right now? I don't know. But anyway, what I actually get them to do is what's called a horizontal count. Kevin just finished. So Kevin, can you see, like if we change this to a point and figure chart, could you see the horizontal count in here? And actually, we even published a few point and figure charts over the past few weeks in the Twitter feed. And they were sort of talking about false breakdowns and double bottom or double top breakouts and stuff like that. So long and short of it here is what I'm trying to say is think of it this way. Like the market comes dumping into this level and then goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In essence, this is like, think of this as like built up energy within this range. And then if the range is either resolved higher or lower, and of course you remember last summer that range was expressed lower, you know, all of this built up buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, it was released here. And of course there's sort of the expression of that energy. So one might argue this is the exact opposite. So there's the expression of that energy that's built up in that trading range. Really cool example. You know, I'm a big fan of trading setups, and then that way makes it a little easier on you psychologically to be able to follow your plan. If this happens and that happens and that happens, good to have 3 solid reasons to consider acting. Then I do this, and I have very specific profit versus risk levels in mind. This was a pretty good, simple example of what I like to call the bot setup, and it just simply was I used this when I was prop crude trading. It's actually what got me funded. So I mean, it works. So and you know, especially prop trading. I mean, put your opinions away. Your opinions don't mean anything when fucking, you know, crude oil is zipping all over the place and the Russians are coming in and, you know, what the hell's going on in Venezuela. And I heard there's tankers parked in the Gulf of Mexico overflowing with oil, surplus oil. Oh, damn, here come the Canadians with their goddamn oil sands oil. And oh, Keystone's going to be I mean, it just gets crazy when you're dealing with these huge macro markets. So it's a lot easier just to define a technical setup. And if you're there to trade, make money from trading, all that kind of talk, just trade your setup. And, you know, there's just too many moving parts to be able to get your head around the whole thing. So anyway, you know, in Bitcoin, right, we had a pretty well-defined 3-to-1 risk reward setup here that defined itself. And on that pop, on that resolution, on that expression of the energy, boom, the market jumped up into this bot's price objective. And I had sort of tweeted out earlier that I felt pretty high confidence if we went A, B, C, D, and then A, B, C, D. I had pretty high confidence that we'd run up to this 127. Yeah, I suppose so. Is that any better? I don't know. And remember, there was Dav sitting up there. He figured we'd get up all the way up to 1618. So way to go, Dav. I didn't think we had the energy to get up into there, but you know, obviously hindsight 2020, we ran up to 5,000. So congratulations, Dav. Nice call. And of course, if you had taken this 3-to-1 risk reward, boom, you got paid. Merry Christmas. On to the next setup. You know, I can't figure out, you know, like, you know, Phoenix rock and rolling. Here's more, you know, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So there's that 127, blah, blah, blah. But, man, that tether thing is all over the map. Just absolutely crazy. So I don't know what the heck's going on over in Phoenix. And why is it that they still have such a premium or discount or whatever it is over the rest of the Bitcoin market? I don't quite understand the logic behind that. But that's for smarter people to understand, not me. There's a specific tweet to Dav. I mean, I got to say, I was damn impressed with Dav. Nice call. Here I like to continually revisit this. If I put an idea out there, that's mine. Um, and like I first sort of tweeted this out here saying, do we really want to, be, buyers of this asset? And that was right up in this area with these big honking smiles. And then about a week or two ago, I said, uh-oh, be careful. Here comes another smile. Now, the good part about this is it's an inverse chart. So if this is going down, then that means that Bitcoin's going up. So notice green boxes down here. So we're starting to get into areas where we're probably going to see some play going the other direction now. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment when we look at sort of the current Bitcoin chart. So anyway, really good example of, the market smiling at you. Can you use that information? Actually, it's funny. I put this tweet out, sure miss those days. And this guy was a local guy to the Pacific Northwest. And it's so funny. When my wife and I first got together, my wife and I met her in my early 20s. And we were together for 18 years. And all through sort of the early 90s, the grunge movement, all that kind of stuff. This guy used to be like a hallmark in Seattle public broadcasting weekend drawing his. And he uses a very interesting painting method that I don't think a lot of people in the painting world really like, paint by numbers kind of thing. So that's actually what I was making reference to. I wasn't really making reference to like Bitcoin going to the moon. But anyway, I just simply said, sure miss those days. I actually miss him because it reminds me a lot of my wife. Anyway. It was actually interesting to watch as, I like to follow all of the big boys all sort of in unison. And let's see if I can show you that. I guess that would be over here. So on our sort of regular show broadcast, I follow all, well, not all, but Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I kind of like watching these the cripple people because especially there seems to be for some reason a very active community in these guys. And actually, I noticed we had one of our site OGers who was trying to push this market down last week, and we all got a good chuckle out of it. I can't remember exactly which bar it was, but he had a short on. He was like, "Fuck it, man! I'm just gonna drive this fucking market into the ground." And he went to war with the bots, and that's always dangerous. But I did notice on that event, I think that was right in here. And I noticed on that event that Cripple just all of a sudden, and I think you can actually see it in the volume. Cripple all of a sudden just came to life right on this bar right in here. But actually, it was really more this bar that caught my attention. And at that point, we were just like, dude, you know what? We want to be small fishes in big ponds, not the other way around. And he was kind of like, yeah, you're right. I'm being silly. So he took his aggressive shorting off, and whoo, I'm glad for his sake that he did. I don't really like that kind of strategy, but this guy is so big that in years gone by, he could push the market around if he felt like it. But in an interesting way, this actually might be a really interesting commentary on that. And of course, all the site members, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe this space is getting so big that us sort of like mini whales can't really push the market around anymore. There's just the players that just have too deep of pockets. So somebody clearly wanted more up here out of these things, and I'm exceedingly pleased for his sake that he just said, "Fuck it, man. I've got my read wrong here. I'm just gonna cover my position." So. Congratulations to you, sir, for not blowing your account up. That can get dangerous when we start thinking we're bigger than the market and we can start pushing it around. Anyway, so the point here is that as Bitcoin popped, hit upside objectives, when we got up into this area, I was kind of like to the public, you know what, just, better cool your jets, right? Just slow down. We got to let some consolidation happen, no FOMO, all that kind of stuff. But I also noticed that, as we were sort of working our way higher, uh, I guess, yeah, I guess we could say that. I don't seem to have it on here, but this Litecoin, it was running up and hitting objectives. I think that's what that tweet was about. Right up here, bullish bots mentioned in the show. Continue work with BTC and against the. Let's see if the little cousins LTH and ETH or LTC and ETH can do the same. So like this Litecoin, it's as this thing was hitting its upside objectives, these ones hadn't yet. So it was really a question of, okay, well, does Litecoin hit its objective? And then, of course, Ethereum. And with, we'll see Ethereum later on. This is why we sort of have the move stop to trailing levels. As Ethereum got up here, it couldn't reach its bot objective. That was just a bridge too far. It got up to move stop to trailing, and all of a sudden, all hell broke loose on the price actions. But we'll see that in a bit. I hope everybody that watches this YouTube video, and we have like thousands of people that watch these videos now, which is good. And I mean, this should be help for you. Please understand that and it was fascinating. Somebody actually came on the website, and now we have a free trial on the website. And somebody reminded me yesterday that you're going to get a whole bunch of really weird people that come in off of these free trials. But somebody came into the site the other day and was sort of shitting on me for not selling all of my crypto at the top of the market and realizing the capital gains. And I tried to explain to them that I never built that demonstration portfolio. That's what this, if you see the Twitter feed, at the very top of the feed, I have this. This was supposed to be purely a demonstration of the little old lady Nanny Nibble's approach to investing, just to make it really, really simple. And what's fascinating is if you actually go back and look at the original comments that I made about this, the goal was to see how quickly I can turn $500 into $100,000. And as soon as I hit that objective, I was just like, okay, well, I did what I said I was going to do. Now I don't really care. And also, too, a big reason why I did this. Hey, Shane, how you feeling this morning? Did you guys go out drinking more later on, or did you call it a night then?
No, we called it a night.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. And Casey got back to his place all right? I hope. Anyway, so I was actually a little surprised because, I also said I really wanted to be long crypto. That was the whole purpose of this Nanny Nibbles. And I remember repeatedly saying, people, I will be long this stuff forever. Once I get a free position established, I'm good to go. And really, there's no risk for me to own this position. So, little surprised that these comments are coming in, but frankly, I couldn't give a rat's ass no offense, but for all those people that are thinking they'll come on the site and start criticizing me and it's going to have an effect on me, you might as well save your breath, because I couldn't give a shit. I really couldn't care. But where was I going with all this? I got to tell you, this is the whole damn reason why I'm doing this. This one gentleman. And this guy he's such a beautiful human. He's so, I always joke, if I was gay, this is the kind of guy I would go after, right? He's, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not gay. But anyway, he's such a great guy. I got to spend some great time in Vienna with him, with the Eastern European crew last summer. And really, this is the whole, okay, well, not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. So, but this is the whole reason why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because I want to go and make $1 million in crypto. I'll demonstrate portfolios, and frankly speaking, because I demonstrate best practices, I've done fairly well. I have nothing to complain about. Jojo, I did what Jojo asked. She specifically came to me and said, Brian, you have the opportunity to help a lot of people in this world. And this is exactly what she wanted me doing. Yeah, he's a great guy. Absolutely. Boo 007. He's a really, really nice guy. In fact, we had sort of made a pact that we were going to go shopping for Transylvanian real estate. But anyway, so, you know, as this sort of says, just as we turned Da Vinci into an awesome trader that he is, and, you know, I love, you know, Da Vinci's a great guy, a beautiful PMA, excellent attitude. No offense, Dav, but he couldn't trade his way out of a paper bag when I first met him. He at one point said, all right, enough's enough. He looked in the mirror and said, this is what I'm doing wrong. I got to correct this. I got to get rid of these opinions. I got to get rid of this sort of emotional attachment to my trading, yada, yada, yada. And he turned the ship around and he did what we asked him to do in the program. And now I think he's a very smart and well-informed, very balanced individual. And it's cool watching him in interviews and stuff like that. He's very relaxed in his skin, which is what I often see happen with students when they can get through the program and make it to the other side is they just relax because, you know, we changed the whole way that you look at the universe. And now, you know, just even last night, remember Shane? One of the guys that we had our evening out with last night, he even said that, you know, now, you know, something like buying a house really isn't that big of a deal anymore. It's not that stressful. Whereas, you know, before knowing TRI, you know, just the concept of going and buying a house with cash, that's like insane, right? But anyway, so the point here is this is why I'm doing this whole site. This is why I'm even talking to you on YouTube right now. It's not because I have some big ego to fill. It's not because I want to be driving Lambos. I want to make and affect a positive change in this world. And I think we're doing it just one person at a time. And I'm so proud of Dan. And I love, I mean, I mean, regardless of whether you buy into it and all this, but just read what he has to say and consider making that investment in yourself. This information works. There's no doubt about it. It works. But it means you're going to have to go through a transformational process. There's Colleen over there in the YouTube page. What do you think, Colleen? Colleen just went through the level 1. Do you see the transformational process happening in yourself? It'll be really interesting to see what Colleen's response is. I guess you couldn't make it into the hangout, eh? We got quite a few people in here. Oh, pretty full. Anyway, okay, so let's keep moving forward here. All right, so, you know, as time sort of progresses and the bull was charging along, in comes the Litecoin bot hit. Ding, 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 ding. So, you know, hopefully you can see the W that formed here. One hell of a candle here. Do you have 3 lows to work with? I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could be a stickler, but what I found in crude trading is it's just the weirdest thing how, you know, if the levels come in, you're not there to have an opinion. You're just simply there to trade, take the setup, rock it, and live with the results. And here's an example where you got paid $3 for $1 risk taken. And that's really what we want to do. You know, the interesting thing is if you actually have like 3-to-1 risk reward setups, and you're hitting your 3-to-1s, I mean, how often do you actually have to be quote unquote right just to break even? I mean, ironically enough, your accuracy could go down to like 33%, which is a horrible accuracy number, but that's just to break even. So that's why I love the bot setup for, you know, those that trade. All right. So as the market's sort of progressing, and, you know, I really like this about what I do here with this Twitter feed is that, you know, it's no bullshit. It's just, you know, following the bot rules. In this particular case, I tweeted out, looks like the ETH guys had their move stopped to scratch level. And the worst thing that could possibly happen here at this point is just you walk away at scratch. Big fucking deal. No emotion. On to the next setup. But the point here is, like, this is why I really like this Twitter feed, is that there's no bullshit here. It's the same thing over and over, and I just simply tweet out, this is the situation. There's no fluff, there's no smoke, there's no mirrors. Now, on these events, right? And I got to tell you, I mean, basically, Bitcoin really hasn't gone anywhere. It's just sort of chopped around in this area. The worst thing that I find is that a lot of people will come in on this big green dildo and come in on the buy side here. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. And this is horrible timing for your trades. And so, please, public, this was the end of the move, not the beginning. And that's so hard for people to understand, is that actually now, like all the pros, 127.2s, 1618s, parking garage, all that kind of talk, the pros are selling here. They're not buying. And who is it, of course, that is buying up top here? It's the public. So, really, when you see these kind of big green dildos, what you really have to do is you got to go, okay, just cool your jets. Look at this one, big pop, and then it just goes sideways for, like, I don't know, how long is that? That's like a week or something, eh? And if you had bought right here, you'd be like, oh God, am I going to, okay, I'm doing good. Oh, crap now. Oh, am I doing good? Oh, crap. Oh, and in this particular case, phew, it worked out. But that's not professional trading, people. We trade setups. So the point here is that this is a really bad place to come in on the buy side right here. You had to let things settle down a little bit. And sort of that's kind of what we were sort of bantering around the site was, let's wait for the next setup to develop and then we can go from there. Got to tell you, I'll keep reiterating this. What a fantastic analogy of Gann's 8-to-1 levels. I mean, we teach this in the level 2 program. It's tricky. I mean, it's not easy to do these studies. Don't get me wrong. It's a pain in the butt to set them up on our computers because the computers want to change the resolution and every screen looks different. So you have to go through a whole bunch of steps to set them up correctly. I mean, please, everyone, learn the power of these 8-to-1 levels that happen to line up also with reload zones, and you get nice structure. Remember, there was some guy on the internet who was doing like public shows that got like 10, 20, 50, 100,000 views. It's all sex, right? And they were like publicly talking about being short here. And hopefully everybody can see now in hindsight, oh boy, that was not a good idea. And it's difficult, don't get me wrong. Like the sentiment in the space, everybody and their brother was bearish here. And clearly you can see in hindsight that maybe wasn't such a good idea. As the market's sort of moving higher, how do we sort of judge that the end of the move is coming in? And that, okay, now we should actually start, getting ready for some maybe even drop in prices. I personally like to hunt for divergences. Divergences in either price momentum indicators or volume momentum indicators. That will be sort of your first tell that, hey, something's not right here. So, when I pulled up this chart, yes, I mean, relative strength indexes, Williams percentage R, they are, our price momentum oscillators are overbought. But, this is a really important lesson about overbought and oversold. And actually, I made reference to him earlier. I'll make reference to him again. John Bollinger was helping another sort of, real OG stock market guy who was publishing a book. And he included a quote in his book, and it said something, and I might get the quote wrong, but something to the effect of the most bullish thing that can actually happen in the market is the market gets overbought and stays that way. That's actually a really powerful market state message that we as technicians need to both appreciate and be able to identify. Let's see, anybody on YouTube, do you know what that market state is called when your oscillators get overbought and simply stay that way, or oversold and simply stay that way? So, if not, maybe that's a cause to take our education programs. Well, of course, you guys in the lounge know, and I hope you do. So well done on answering that. Good job. I just wonder whether any of the nope. Well, Colleen, okay, yeah, way to go, Colleen. Colleen, you just finished the level 1 course, so good answer. Robert Fisher. I don't know whether I know Robert Fisher or not. No, the correct answer I'm looking for, and boo hoo hoo 007, maybe write that down, is this thing called embeddedness. And so you might argue here that your price momentum oscillators are actually getting embedded, which actually in itself is an extremely bullish sign. That's why I really like to concentrate on things like MACD histograms to identify those divergences. So anyway, long and short of it here, no signs of divergence, no divs to suggest trap. She looks strong, and of course we know that the market sort of, didn't crap out here. Hey, Fjord, nice to see you, buddy. Okay, so as you know, the botters are just botting away. You don't know what the hell's going to happen in the market. This is why I really like using the bot, because it has sort of built-in rules to start, helping you lock in profits. You don't know if this thing's going to get up here, and as we know in hindsight, it never did. At this point, the botters go, all right, woohoo, I actually know I'm going to make some money on this. And this motherfucker might come all the way back down here and then M out and then crap out, and maybe you get out near the 50% level. Maybe it M's out up here at 66 and you hop off, just, better safe than sorry. But the point here is that we can now start moving our stops away from these scratch levels and actually seriously consider, actually making money from this trade. So that was encouraging. But also, too, like I said just a few minutes ago, I really love the way that I do the tweets. I have no opinion here. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, but no bullshit from Brian. I mean, a spade is a spade is a spade. There it is. Move your stop to trailing level hit. So now you can start thinking about actually making money from this. These kind of tweets start to scare me a little bit. When we start seeing this kind of stuff again, and rappers making music videos about how much money they're making from crypto and all that kind of stuff, then we got to be worried about tops coming back into the market. So I love this person here. They sort of give you a checklist, right, of all the things to watch out for that if we should be watching. Did I just swear? I'm sorry, Julian. Maybe I certainly don't make this family rated. And also remember, I'm a trader dude, right? Man, you should listen to some of my trader peers from they beep 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 from my old days. I'm actually pretty tame. Something about a C word, right? So I'll try my best, but no guarantees from the management, Julian. And probably maybe a good idea that maybe they consider this adult content. I'll try my best, but there's no guarantees from management. All right, moving right along. Really interesting comparison. Okay, where could this market actually take us? This was the previous Litecoin halving event. And what was really interesting was that there was a Chinese Ponzi scheme that was running. The Litecoin halving event was actually like over here. But they bid this thing up just to such absolutely insane levels. And of course, with typical crypto, look at the size of that darn wick that was left there. I mean, just this is a weekly price chart, right? Zip up and then crap out. So this is sort of what I'm expecting the end of this move to look like. The question ultimately now is, are we going to have the Chinese Ponzi schemes coming in on the long side? Thought it was really interesting. I'm seeing so many parallels between this cycle and last cycle. You can see the moving average. This is a simple moving average system that I like to use off the weekly charts that gives me a pretty good idea of trend. You can see that basically we turned trend back up here again, which is great. And we sort of kind of thought that this was going to happen. And I had sort of suggested to all the sort of TRI people that use this Litecoin rally that we anticipated was coming to fund your trip to TRI for this summer. Because we're having a big TRI Vancouver meetup this summer. So anyway, the point of the matter here is if we actually look for the same percentage move off of the lows, we actually have to be thinking about like $190, $200 a Litecoin. It's anything can happen in this crazy world. Anything can happen. I would highly suggest that you be trading setups and hunting setups. And I don't know, this is kind of tough to see, but hopefully you can see the very WE type action that came in here. If anything, I would, at this point, I'd be drawing like reload zones if I didn't own any of this and I wanted to buy some. And I'd be hunting, like reload zone off of this. Looks like it lines up with this market structure. So if we got like a 1 or 2 week pullback in crypto back into support, then that would probably give me an opportunity to buy. But I can't buy this here. It's just gone too far, too fast. But it's a good anecdote of where we could ultimately be heading to through this halvening event if things get absolutely nutso here. So really cool picture. Yeah, so here's a great example of why you can't come in on the long side. Now, that Bitcoin, we were looking at it in here. You did okay if you went in here. Still don't really like the idea at all. But, like Cripple, holy geez, it just fell out of bed. And, of course, Ethereum, remember we said move stop to scratch, move stop to trailing, and then it puked out here. So, this is why we can't FOMO. You have to wait for these consolidations to set up the next trade. Excellent. Good for you, Julian. And good for you and your kid, hopefully. And actually, it was really cool because the guys that I was meeting with yesterday, they were saying that they're trying to teach their kids how to hunt for M's and W's on the price chart. And we were kind of joking that, this stuff should be taught in school. And I think the only reason why it isn't is because the people who actually run the show, they don't want the public knowing this stuff. It would ruin their sort of free lunch just to make as much money as they want. But my suggestion to all of you guys, especially, YouTubers and stuff, we'll probably have thousands of people watch this later on through the week. Maybe 1,000, who knows, something like that, is try and take the basic concepts of M's and W's, reload zones. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's extremely simple stuff. And make it a fun project with your kids so that they actually learn what a good investment looks like at a really young age. And we were joking last night. We were saying, maybe even turn it into like a video game. And don't sell it as like, oh, you're learning economics and you're learning supply and demand and boring. Turn it into like, we're going to play a video game here and we're going to try and win at the video game. And the way that you win at the video game is bang out doubles, get free positions, right? Ding, 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 free position. Ding, 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 free position. And of course, those free positions mean, that's basically profit. That can translate into fun stuff for your kids. And of course, if they make the money, I mean, the good part about crypto is you can start accounts from very, very small. And if they see that they can actually make money and go and buy bubblegum and, hockey cards and whatever they want to buy, or the latest sort of video game that they want to buy for their Xbox, with their efforts, then that incentivizes them even more. And really, that's the way I would recommend all parents look at this. Don't make it boring, make it fun, and turn it into like a video game. We're trying to win the video game. Anyway, and actually, Siort, now that I see you, Casey, his kids are super into this specific type of Lego, and I was like, oh my God, Siort is like Captain Lego. So there's a very specific type of new Lego that's like robotic or something like that they're like super excited about. They're totally into, and I thought of you, and I just see you there. So I want you to reach out to Casey if you can, or I'll get him to reach out to you, and you guys hook up because I know that's like right down your alley. All right, so the Bitcoin market's rallying, rah rah rah. Here's a really interesting perspective of price, and this is what they call volume profile. Well, that's right. Yeah, Stuart's got an army of women Legos. Remember that? He's got like a whole platoon of them now. Colleen says on the YouTube page there, Stuart, even girl Legos. All right, so back to our story. Really good example of we would call this like a double distribution. There's two clear nodes here on this volume profile. And if price can actually get into this area between these two nodes, I used to call it, when I was in my prop days, I used to call it the claw. Basically, the claw has captured price. And really, it kind of makes sense too. Kind of like, I think we were looking at some other asset I said earlier. And we said there's probably a whole bunch of people that bought against these lows. And if we can get price back into that area, they're going to be so hard on the sell side, right? They're just going to be like, oh, please just get price back to these levels. I'll sell it. I'll never buy another Bitcoin again, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I think is going on right now. So I like to call this the claw. We also call this the muak, but it's a different language altogether. But if you can think about the claw, like literally price as like captured by the claw and volume profile, and my hunch is we're probably going to play ping pong, bang, 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 until we actually have like some real fundamental driver. That was Dash that I was talking about. Thanks, Alex. But same sort of logic, right? You know that there's a whole bunch of people that, they're like, well, I bought Bitcoin at $6,000. All right, well, just get me the hell out of there, and I'll just walk away unscathed. A lot of people do that in this space. In fact, actually, I saw one of the sort of Twitter OGers making fun of a paid group person who had recommended buying an asset, and it got back to basically their entry point, and this person had recommended to their paid group just to hop off and walk away at scratch. And these Twitter OGers, of course, were shitting all over this person, which I don't know. I don't quite understand the logic behind this social media. I think it's actually gone a really nasty direction, but oh well. And that, of course, is predicated on whether you actually listen to any of this stuff. I mean, as you sort of heard, when people criticize me on Twitter, I just say, fine, don't follow me. I don't care. Anyway, so really good example of the claw. So I would be willing to bet that $6,000 is just going to be an absolute brick wall of resistance here over the short term. I don't know whether we can get up into that area. Only time will tell. So far as it is right now, higher highs and higher lows define a bull. So the bull's got the ball. If we go and M out here and have to come back down against this node, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. All right. So this is kind of what I'm seeing in the market right now, sort of market state. I've been sort of talking about this for quite a while. I really believe we're in this sort of what I like to call chop Vegas kind of market. Markets will zip up. And of course, if you bought against the low ends of ranges, you might even be able to get doubles on your trades. We're doing, like, people on TRI are just banging out ridiculous amounts of doubles lately. One site member actually came on the other day and said he had 26 doubles in one day. I think that's officially the record. I remember this last cycle, we had some people that were on like, oh, I got like 15 doubles today. I got 20 doubles today. So seeing this gentleman post in the lounge that he got like, I think he said 26. Did I say 26? It was something crazy like that. But, this is a hallmark of chop Vegas market, right? Where, if you can force yourself to come in and buy against the bottom end of ranges, you're going to get these pops and you kind of have to take at least partial profits. If you're trading your setups, right, then that's a slightly different approach. I would recommend if you're trading setups, you take all profits. But I really think that there's a lot of similarities between this sort of late 2014, 2015 Bitcoin market and late 2018, 2019 Bitcoin market. And you notice we've come up against a pretty important, sort of medium-term moving average. This is very similar, and I suppose I can show you that now. Where is it? I think I've shown you these studies before. This is a 30-week simple moving average and the 13-period exponential moving average off the weekly charts. And ideally, to see that the trend has actually turned up, we'd like to see the fast moving average above the slow moving average. You can see on Bitcoin, and we've been sort of talking about this a while. I thought that we would probably come up against this 30 SMA and then just pause. Somebody even, I don't know whether it was Twitter or social media or whether it was just on the site, but somebody had said, hey, did you check out this 50-period exponential moving average, which is very similar to the 30-period simple moving average? And, it basically, defined support, resistance, then test, now support, and support, etc. So support, turning into resistance. Could be resolution of resistance, but nope, turn resistance held. And actually, ironically enough, the textbook definition of sort of breaking of resistance and support is actually 2 candle body closes above or below a moving average. But, that's here nor there. Resistance. And here we are, resistance. Very similar to sort of this type of resistance. And this is what I'm sort of worried about today is if we actually look at the Bitcoin price right now, it feels very much like they want to close this market right up against the top end of its range, right, and paint sort of like this this railroad tracks top here, up, close right near the high end of the candle, then beep, open up next week, and then come right back down. And it almost felt like, especially heading into the weekend, one of our sort of old timers. Oh, and OG, I think somebody asked what OG stands for. It's a silly little, and if anything, I even heard at this crazy event I went to last night, I heard people talking about these people in this particular industry being OGs. And when I heard the lady on the stage say that, I was like, oh my God, this expression is getting really dated. I actually have to start using it. But the OG term is supposed to be original gangster. So, and it comes from like Watts and Compton, California and stuff, where these people literally were murdering each other. So really, I mean, I use it tongue in cheek. We're certainly not OGs. But if you do hear me use that expression, and now it's become so mainstream, it's almost become cliche. If anything, if we start to hear the kids making reference to it in like grade school and stuff, then you know that it's actually not cool to say that anymore. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, the point of the matter here is, I'm very much feeling like this scenario could easily play out here. I still think we're in that chop Vegas market. As I had pointed out, technically don't have a bullish trend on Bitcoin actually working. And you notice how Litecoin came up against the top of there and had to like consolidate for a few weeks and then break higher. If anything, what I'd like to see is actually like a Wyckovian check right now, where basically, and I think actually I think I tweeted it out and all that kind of stuff. But in essence, what I would like to see now is a nice 50% retracement, good old WD GAN. And notice that would be the original breakout level. And to tell us that this is indeed a bull, right? Pull back against that, put in a nice W, and away we go. And that would sort of be like this kind of event, right? So breakout. In this particular case, they had to come right back down against the original bottom. And there was even a little FU move against this W here. And then they put in a new W, and then away we go. For us to know that this is really a bull, we want to see, and then away we go, breakout, and then come back down, check the breakout like right there, and then turn back up. That's ideally what we want to see. So we'll see. Only time will tell. I still think this is a little bit early, and I'm a little worried that people have gotten really, really bullish of crypto on social media. I'm actually quite surprised at how quickly it's turned back to the bull side, which to me is a little bit concerning. And of course, do I have trade setups up top here? No. That was the end of this move here as far as I'm concerned. And, maybe you're still spoon feeding, and just shilling out, but that's sell side. That's not buy side. Can I justify going in and buying Bitcoins at this level here? No way. Can't entertain that one bit. And believe it or not, people, I know you're not going to like to hear this, but believe it or not, I actually could very easily see a nice little wash right against these lows here. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So just an FYI. I think, as we had said, what's driving this rally? I think the Litecoin story is actually driving this rally right now. So if we're going to actually watch anything for leadership in the market, we want to see Litecoin continue to lead. As long as it continues to lead and, heading into that it's happening event, then I think the rest of the market gets pushed higher. So only time will tell. For those, it's actually interesting, for the traders on the site, we actually have a really interesting battle point going on right now. So this is now an hourly chart of Bitcoin. And frankly speaking, I don't think it's a good idea for any of you, YouTubers, new people to trading, to even look at these kind of charts because it'll just fry your brain. But this is such a really good example of when I was at Top Step and I was in their crude pits. Basically, one of the guys I used to work with, he used to always hit the 61.8, just always, 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 always. And he would be short off of this level. Not even think twice, just hit it. And of course, you can see the bot. I've got one low, two lows, really nice consolidation here. The bot entry level, ironically enough, is way up there. I think this is a good example where I'd like to be front running the bot here. So see if I could get long off of that double bottom. Notice that nice breakout right there with the anticipation that the bot level would be hit. Okay, it's hit, it's alive. So this would be what I would call front running the bot. So I've got all these lows, these lows, these lows, this low, that low. So I got lots of lows to defend my trade. And you notice on this move down here, right, they clean out these lows. That's exactly what you'd expect, right? And that's why we have to have three lows so they can go and screw all these people over. But your stop is sitting way down here. Anyway, the point of the matter here is, really, really good example of how, if this was a crude oil chart, I could very easily be long somewhere in here. Brandon would be short from here. And we would just simply be like, okay, let's see what the fuck happens. Hey, and sorry, the gentleman who's got the kid listening, sorry. But if anything, talking about my prop crude trading days, yeah, we would drop the F-bomb all the time. Anyway, the point of the matter here is, and this is, if anything, this is a really, really good analogy. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't be serious as BFRN. BFRN stands for big, fat, round number. And in actual fact, I think on the Twitter feed, I even did a tweet out to that effect. So maybe you're not following the Twitter feed. Where is that? So, as sort of time was progressing, the divs start coming in. All right. Notice, we had said there's probably more up here. Sure enough, there was. Market did move to new highs, and now you can see the divergences starting to develop. So it's at this point that you go, uh-oh, maybe this thing's run out of steam. So a really good example of just letting divergences develop. In this case, we have like massive amount of buyers. And then on this push higher here, not as many buyers. And then on this push up into here, a little bit more, but not nearly the buying interest there. And then this push here, whoa, where the hell are the buyers? And then all of a sudden price breaks and the sellers start coming out in mass. So we have a situation here where the buyers are falling asleep. The sellers are actually waking up. Here we have, this is simple price momentum. Remember I'd said one of the strongest messages you can get from your price oscillators is just simply they stay embedded. And this is really dangerous for a lot of new people to trading. And I watched a guy like 5 years ago literally blow his Bitcoin account up because the market went overbought. And he's like, that's it. Market's gone overbought. I'm going to short. I'm going to sell. And he just didn't understand this whole concept of embeddedness and how it actually is a very strong trending signal. So anyway, point of the matter here is divergence has come in. So we better just cool our jets. And now, here I was just like, I don't know. It looks like there's still more up. I've already had my profit objectives hit on things like setups. I certainly can't go and buy this. It's too early to think about short. Well, now we can actually start seeing the reasons to actually think about shorts building. So back to Brandon's chart, wherever the hell it is. I guess that's this chart, right? So there is that big fat round number. And if anything, like Mr. You Can't Be Serious 03, journal this stuff. And that's what I even said. Here's an awesome piece for everyone's journal on the power of big fat round numbers. I mean, $5,000 acted as one hell of a magnet, just gyrating all around it. Really, really good example of the power of big fat round numbers. And it's weird how a lot of people in the public totally discount that. But in my 30 years, I watch big fat round numbers act as magnets all the time. I suppose you could argue that, this kind of tweet, I had talked about this. Again, this is why I really like these tweet and this Twitter feed is like literally, you can see, we even put out as it was coming into, this is the moment we've been waiting for. What's going to happen here? We knew that something big was going to happen. And sure enough, wow, it happened. Pop, right? So you can't argue that we didn't have we were thinking in the right direction. I thought this was an interesting follow-up. Like the pop happened, and I even had people say, okay, now what? What's going to end though, right? And then other people say, well, I hope it never ends, right? But that, of course, that's not wise thinking. So here's it, like if you want to draw studies and try and figure out, okay, where are these likely to actually exhaust themselves? I love this parking garage analogy. The 1.618 up to 200% extension. And just think of 200% extension as basically this was a trading range. We resolved through that big apex event, and we just replicated the exact same trading range up top. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But these parking garages often work great as sort of levels of, okay, The breakout happened. Now where's this thing likely to exhaust itself? And sure enough, basically this is the story of Bitcoin for pretty much, I think probably about the past 4 or 5 days, really. Yeah, I mean, we did the pop, the divergence you can see comes in here. This is that chart. Then on this break, we actually had a little double bottom come in MACD. So in essence, we got the back and forth going now. There is trading range. So in essence, this is perfect hallmark of a trading range market. There is the bot. You can see how long this has taken to develop. Even if we we can start from here is where I sort of said, okay, cool your jets. So, on this mark here, that's 5,000, big fat round number. So we're sitting here at 5,100, difference of $100. 133 hours ago. So I don't know. Has anybody got a calculator? How many days is that? It's got to be about 4 or 5 days, eh? Have we seen the bulls come back to life? Yeah, a little bit here, but really would love to see the breakout above here. How about the bears? Are they alive? Yeah, looks like the bears are kind of, everybody's sort of just going to sleep here. And frankly speaking, I have no idea who's going to win this battle. But if I was going to be hunting setups, if I want to be long, I think basically, and what is that number? 5,040. What a shock. That's a number I really would like to be long. This happens to be OK coin. So, and if I wanted to be short, right, I should be seriously considering that reload short zone. Mountain Man, 78.6, yada, yada, yada. So the war is on right now. We had the consolidation that I was anticipating, and now we're going to find out, okay, who's driving the bus now? And, if this thing does crap out here, you just don't know. It might not. My hunch is probably we have to come back down into these areas. You can see how we have that sort of double distribution kind of idea working again. You got there, and you got there. So if we accept back below this POC here, then that means that we're probably going to be trapped in that range there for a while. And you're going to think of the claw. It's coming to get you. Isn't that a pretty picture? There you go. But we'll make it a Mrs. Claw. Terrible. Anyway, so accept higher, right? That means the acceptance of this 540 area. Really interestingly enough, it actually projects all the way up to 6108. So, and that kind of makes sense too, because it almost looks like it's moving in sort of big fat round number levels. So 5,000, 6,000 if we resolve to the bull side, 4,000 if we resolve to the bear side. And place your bets, and let's see what happens. All right, so, all right, good job. So, when I see charts that look like this, especially with all these M's and stuff, got to tell you, I mean, we're tempering our bullish enthusiasm, no doubt about it. Kind of cool your jets. Wait for those setups to develop. So that's basically what that was in regard to. And then somebody's like, and I don't understand these replies. This makes no sense to me. Hate to say it, Brian, but do you remember this one? Okay, I'm not even quite sure what it is you're going for there. And I even said, not really, not quite sure what you're telling me. Brought this back up, and of course there is that parking garage we talked about. So this is that topping out range. In essence, what this is going to imply is if we do resolve bullishly through this, then we're probably going to do another parking garage up top. Trend line support, this is that high to low trend line. I think there's support here. If we lose that horizontal support, the original Wyckoff breakout here, And then if we lose that, the actual original downtrend line actually is support as well off of this little uptrend, and that paints down into here. So this is a bit risky now, right? There's a lot of open air down here for the market to fill back in. All right, Amanda's back. Woohoo! I even said I can start talking about my favorite level in the department store again. Yay! So that's basically the comments about Amanda. I have funny jokes. I like when you have different perspectives on the market. So this is a very different perspective. Take it for whatever it's worth, but I think this guy's making a bullish call. That's kind of what I just said was food for thought. So interesting comments there. Economy still seems to be firing on all cylinders. I don't see any reason why the Fed would be lowering rates whatsoever. Question ultimately is, when does the Fed invert the yield curve? And I still don't think that the yield curve is inverted. So I could easily see this market just continue to just chop its way higher. And now the stock market's so close to new highs. I don't see any way in hell the Fed's going to lower interest rates. That's just silly talk, in my opinion. Every week on Fridays, I like to give everybody on the Twitter feed and YouTube audience and stuff like that, like today's show. Remember a week or two ago, somebody put out an interesting commercial from an insurance company about trying to help out and be a good citizen and be a good person. So I know it's not really the same thing, but I don't want people to perceive me as just a shill. And so every Friday I like to post out a trade that I've actually done. You're welcome to join me if you want. If you don't want to and you think my ideas are shit, I don't care. I'm not going to take any personal offense to it. So this was a trade that I did. Hopefully everybody can see the W's here. In fact, we got two W's working here. Hopefully you can see there's lots of gaps on the upside. This profile has tons of unfinished business up top. 50% rule, good old WD Gann says that stock probably could be good for a good 30-40% rally here. And the options happen to meet my secret options formula metrics. So I went and bought some calls. Do it as you please. Not a recommendation, not advice, just simply telling you what I'm doing with my money. And this happens to be in the stock market. So there's that reference to big fat round numbers. So whoever was asking in the YouTube audience, I would strongly suggest you journal this and just copy this. Here's an awesome piece for everyone's journal: the power of the big fat round numbers. So do yourself a favor and just either follow me on Twitter or just go and copy this, right, and throw it in your journal. It sounds to me like you can't be serious. You learned something new today. A really nice treat. And actually, this is on the heels of, unfortunately, Trex is up to their old games again about delisting coins that are pretty much only listed on Trex. So I actually 3 out of the 4 names that Trex posted for delisting, I was able to hop off basically at scratch on these. I had gone and done some recent buying and anticipating getting doubles off, and I think this one I literally missed my double by like 100 sats or something, which just pisses you right off. But anyway, that's a trader's life. Live by the sword, die by the sword. So I think it was Thursday or Friday. But basically, the Trex came out and said we're shitting on all these people's lives. And I've learned long enough in this game that if you can get out at scratch, you might as well just walk away and use the Bitcoin for something else. So I blew out this guy, and this guy, basically all scratch, but I'm going to take a punch in the nose on this stupid Varium. And it's just the trader's life. It's just the way that it goes. But in a weird sort of way, almost at exactly the same time that happened, all of a sudden the trader gods gave me this gift. So I have a funny feeling it's sort of like the trading god sort of said, "Oh yeah, okay, all those people that got shit on over here, well, we'll give them a treat over there to sort of offset the pain." So, basically now somebody had come on Twitter a month or so ago and said, "Hey, here's a whole bunch of ideas that I'm interested in." I had put up charts of all of them and said, "Okay, well, I really thank you very much for these fundamental ideas. Love it. Thank you. If I was going to buy these things, this is where I would be working bids, and this happens to be one where I got a nice little fill on this candle here." And we were very fortunate. We just got off a free position here. So, woohoo, party. Love that kind of stuff. Now, basically, these are free coins going forward. So I'm feeling pretty good with myself there. All right. And now Kevin, is he still here? There he is. So Kevin and I were chatting a little bit about the gold market here recently. Really good conversation on the difference between sort of pit traders, day traders, position traders, swing traders. The higher time frame people, you got to be cognizant of this big old potential smile that's staring us in the face here. And it was really interesting as the market dumped into these levels here, potentially confirming that smile. If we go through these levels here, that smile confirms. And I think I even tweeted out like a few weeks ago because the silver market just totally fell out of bed there. The question is, where the hell would it be? I think it was over here. Yeah, the problem is that did I get rid of that chart? There it is. So here's the silver market, the way that it started to smile, and sure enough, now trending lower. So the gold market could potentially be putting in a smile here, but you got to wait for it. And it was 38.2 is a higher time frame Ray barbecue level. Right, if we go to like a daily chart, it's going to get really messy. Sorry. But anyway, there is that 38.2 higher time frame Ray barbecue level. So this actually becomes a really, really important level for gold here going forward. If we lose this, not only do we confirm the big M, but we also lose 38.2. Next logical sort of stopping point should be our reload zone. Notice there's a big old juicy gap on the, these are the gold futures charts. So, I would expect pretty high probability that we have to work our way back down into here. But that's predicated on us losing this level. And as I said just a moment ago, for like the day traders and stuff, this has been one hell of a battle here. So this happened to be like I think I just showed you there a moment ago, right? This was a daily clothesline level, hugely significant. That level right there. And I love to work bodies off a work orders off a candle body lows. Because if we change this to a line chart, notice, right? Market never does come down and actually close below there. So there is no sort of clothesline signal. So quite often you'll get situations where the higher ups, trying to trap the public, they'll make the market look really, really bearish here. And then they'll just snap it back so that the close actually finishes far away from there. So just absolutely insane trade levels there. As well, this is like a double RLZ, right? So you got this range here. Well, I guess, yeah, this range here, there to there, right? That's this RLZ. And then this range here to here, that's this RLZ. So whenever you get these like overlapping reload zones, you have to expect there's going to be a hell of a fight here. So it was just really interesting to watch the fight develop here. Fascinating. And also too, and I thought this was also interesting, that through the fight, really good example of just letting the market consolidate to set up your next trade. On this dump, you might have been like, oh yeah, they're totally going to break the 38.2. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to short that. Not a good idea. Let the consolidation happen. And now, and I know it's a little bit tough to see, but you can see if we go A, B, so from here, that initial move, and then we clone that, CD, you can see how we now have a harmonic pattern that can take us down into these levels. And good old Brian's bot trade, you break that harmonic into quarters, and lo and behold, there's the 25% level. In essence, if I'm thinking bear, and I'm thinking this thing wants to break the lows, I'm going to short this level. And it's interesting how if we change that to like a clothesline, you can actually see how the market's set up right off of that level. And I'm going to risk to a break of the top of the CD leg here. And frankly speaking, I think this trade's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. So, Kevin and I were sitting there just chatting. We were reviewing this chart. And I'm like, dude, can you see the war that's going on here? I mean, this is an outright war. And frankly speaking, I don't know who's going to win this war. Nobody does. I mean, anybody who tells you that they do know who's going to win this war, that's bullshit, right? Nobody can predict the future. Been at this stupid game 30 years. Never seen anybody be able to do it consistently. So really what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, am I a bull or am I a bear, right? If I'm a bear, then I'm taking this level, I'm risking against the highs, and I live with the results. I got 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, 4 highs, maybe 5 highs now to work with. If I'm a bull, then I say, okay, well, I've got this trading range. I've got the double reload zone, and I've got just a sick-ass higher time frame trade location. And look at that freaking trade off of that location. That's just ridiculous. I mean, this is probably way beyond the caliber of even a guy like myself, for that matter, to be able to hit these levels like this. I mean, this is just sick-ass fucking trading. But nonetheless, it makes complete sense why the bulls are stepping in and simply buying off a test of the bottom end of the range and just saying, well, we don't think that Ray Barbecue is going to resolve bearishly here. We actually think that they're going to hold the Ray Barbecue levels and we're going to move higher. You don't know. I mean, nobody does. So if you're a day trader, right, keep in mind we're looking at like lower time frame gold chart here. I thought this was such a good example of how the market has basically set up the battle. And are you a bull? Well, then you got to be buying off of these ranges here and risking, against a break of good old Ray Barbecue's level. If you're a bear, then you got to be hunting these bearish bots, basically shorting this like 1292 area and your stop up against these highs here. Just live by the sword, die by the sword. So there you go. So I hope that helps, Kevin. But that's my commentary on the gold market. Really, really good example. Okay, and that basically brings us up to date, eh? Oh, that's good. So it's 11:38. What time did I start this? That's probably about an hour, eh? Because we really, I think YouTube craps on you if you start making these videos too long. So, wow, that's an hour and 30 minutes. All right. So I think we'll probably leave it at that for now. Somebody did ask, and I thought it was kind of amusing. I guess somebody was watching me do these tweets and commenting off of that. And I know off of one of these, they actually asked me to look at something on, where the hell is it? Yeah, I can never find them. Probably your best bet if you actually want to get something looked at by me is to actually like directly tweet me so that it isn't just part of a reply here, because I don't know where it is. But I think I remember, what the hell was it? Was it Dav's coin, that green coin? I think people were asking me to look at that. So I think we'll finish off today with just a quick comment on that green coin. Why should we do that? No, let's do it here. I seem to remember somebody asked about that. Green. Well, let's first look at it versus US dollars. But it doesn't look like it's priced in US dollars. That's not good. It's traded on Trex. They've got, isn't that interesting how they don't have a US dollar quote? Well, what the hell? We'll look at it versus Bitcoin. It's not terrible. I mean, at least you're in a half decent trade location. Let's see what we got here. Hey, there you go. Cute little W. Not a bad looking little W there. Something along those lines like that. So interestingly enough, actually, I mean, the long and short of it here is it really all depends on what type of risk taker you are, how you're going to approach this. I often find that these ICOs actually need like a long sort of saucer bottom that has to come in. Remember what was the story that I used to always tell you guys? Let's see if anybody can remember in the lounge. Anybody remember the library credits? Hey, Jonas. IKEA, that's comfortable. Anyway, I personally would rather we see a nice long drawn out saucer bottom to know that these things are actually bottomed. So, and of course, what's fundamental value here? That's very, very difficult to figure out on these Schult coins. I suppose you could make an argument, if we go say like here to here, and go extensions. Yeah, I guess we came in off 127 there. It's not really the best level in my opinion. I do like this W. It's not bad, but our rule on the site, think of saucer bottoms. Our rule on the site is we really want to see weekly Ws. So if anything off the weekly chart, you can see a potential fractal here that developed off that daily W. But unfortunately, that fractal is not confirmed. So, nothing really to get too excited about here yet. I suppose now, the traders who are willing to buy, but then if the idea craps out, get the hell out of there. You could always just buy the W and risk to a break of the bottom of the W. And ideally, you want to have at least a 2-to-1 risk reward. Something like that. Put in a nasty empire top here. So, it's nothing really to get too excited about again. Internals, man, don't see any signs of the bears driving the bulls. If anything, the bulls were trying to come alive here, but you see no W in OBV. And then the bears just came out en masse here, right, on this candle and this candle, and just said, screw it, we're getting the hell out of here. Price oscillators, again, looking good coming out of here, but now, nothing to get really too excited about there. So, if anything, what I see here is, the traders out there. You could probably, if anything, maybe hunt for like W's coming in off of these lower time frames. Like so. But considering we don't really have a heck of a lot of history here, and we don't really have any sort of long-term structural pivot, it makes it awfully tough for me to justify this. I suppose the way that I would look at something like this is, good old nanny nibbles. Throw an incredibly small portion of your portfolio at this. It's not a terrible idea. Little concerned about this profile. This looks a little dangerous. Usually the profile wants to look like a parabola. So if we understand that this is the POC up here, then what does that mean, like profile wise? What does a profile ideally want to look like? And I'm worried that it might want to look something like that. Right. So don't be shocked if we have to dip back down against these lows and sort of fill out this profile here. This looks a little suspicious. Be careful here, guys. But, if you want to make this relatively easy, and of course, nothing in trading really is. But as we're coming into reload zones here, let's go and hunt for signs of divergence. We got a little bit of a divergence here, but really what we want to see is we want to see a nice W. Right? Remember your grade 3 English teacher. So we don't really have any solid divergence working here. I like the fact that the market is getting stupidly oversold, so that's good. But holy crap, looks like the market's just being dominated by bears. Where the hell are the buyers? Right? So we really would like to see OBV put in a W and start rocking and rolling. So, structurally, we're still way too early. Internal's too early. Location, yeah, we got location, but really we got to see a whole bunch of cleanup here before I could really, especially for the level oneers, I could really feel comfortable them actually taking this as a trade. I don't see enough here yet. Which kind of sucks, but that's the way it goes. And then, like I said, higher time frame players, the internals here show absolutely no sign of being done, right? Ugh, ugh, ugh. And extension wise, why would this bottom here versus anywhere else? So, traders got to trade. If you had taken this W and you were shooting for 2-to-1s, then you better risk against here. And if we lose these lows, you better just walk away. Me personally, I just don't think there's enough information here for me to make a solid judgment. Let's get these divs to confirm, which will mean maybe give us a nice little counter trend rally here back up against this trend line maybe. So that'll confirm this div. Let's see actually some buying interest. Are there any actual buyers out there that are even the slightest bit interested in this thing? Right. And then we can start hunting trades. And then, as I said originally, you want to just nanny nibble this thing. It's not a terrible idea. But you got to understand, nanny nibbles, maybe they were thinking of taking a shot here. Well, that's underwater. Maybe they're thinking of taking a shot here. That's underwater. So nanny nibbles, you have to make damn sure that you're not putting too much money into this because you don't know where the hell the bottom is. So that's my comment there. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Got to go get ready to give the boy an awesome afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. I'll see, of course, everybody in the lounge and on the site for tomorrow morning's daily brief. All the best. And the only thing left to say at this point is bye for now.